starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
I want to welcome you to this week's episode of The Fireplace Show. And what's The Fireplace Show? The Fireplace Show is our broadcast where we present information to the consumers across America and we answer their questions. If you'll notice, my email address is up on the screen. So every week, I'm having a lot of listeners that are sending in questions that they would like for me to answer for them. And that's what we're glad to do. The Fireplace Show is sponsored by our company, CVC Success Group, and we do this as a service to the consumers of America. You know, CVC Success Group, what we do, we are a coaching, consulting, and training company located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we offer services across the United States with our team here at the CVC Success Group and provide all kinds of services. So I'm sure if you're listening live, you know, it's really in a cold situation across America. And what this is doing, there's all kinds of people sitting in front of their fireplaces right now. They're enjoying their fireplaces, their wood stoves, or gas logs. But a lot of times questions come up, and that's what this is all about, is in order to give people correct information. So stay with us. We're going to be answering some of the questions that have come in since our last broadcast. Here's our intro music, and we'll be right back with you. But I want to really thank you for joining us tonight. And here's the thing. Consider sharing this out to your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, because this could be information that could help them. And if you're in the industry, share it out. That way your customers can be getting this information also. So we'll be right back. Stick around with us. So my name is Jerry Eisenhower. I'm the host of The Fireplace Show. Sometimes we have guests on. Sometimes I present this all by myself. So tonight I'm going to be answering consumer questions that have come to me since the last broadcast. I've got some really interesting things, and hopefully this will maybe give you some information, some education about your fireplace, about your chimney, or other things. And one of the questions that came in since our last was from a person that lives in the part of the United States where there's no hardwood. Basically, all they have is pine and softwoods in that particular area, which is very true in a lot of the geographic areas of the United States. So its question was, Jerry, is it okay to burn pine? Because people tell me it's going to form a lot of creosote in my chimney and other things. What's the best kind of wood to burn? And the answer to that goes back to a friend of mine from many years ago who used to say, you know, the best wood to burn is free wood. And the next best wood is the wood you can get cheap. But that's a true statement because realistically, there is nothing wrong with burning pine as long as you have seasoned it, because any wood needs to be seasoned, because what we're looking for is a moisture content in the wood of between 15 and 20%. Now, you can obtain a moisture meter through Amazon or other sources or a local fireplace shop, places like that, to test the actual moisture content of your wood. But here's the BTU factors. Understand something. A pound of wood is a pound of wood. And what we do is we measure BTUs per pound of wood. Now, what I'm going to share with you, I'm also going to give you BTU contents of a pound of wood based on what the moisture content is. Now, historically in the industry, we have taught our technicians when they're going through training that a pound of wood is 8,600 BTUs. But I'm going to tell you that's not completely true, because the stats are as follows, that if you have wood that is bone dry, that means it's completely 100% dry. What's the BTU? It can range, depending on the species of wood, anywhere from 8,000 to 9,500 BTUs per pound. That's the actual studies if you do the research into it. Okay, so it's going to vary depending upon the species that you have. Remember, a pound of wood is a pound of wood. And if you have a softwood, it's going to weigh much less per cubic foot than you're going to have if it's a nice hardwood. So again, a pound of wood is a pound of wood. So what does moisture do? Well, let's take a look at that, what moisture is. And how does it affect the BTU? If you have wood and that wood is 65% moist. That means it's pretty green. It was just cut. Well, at 65%, the average BTUs that comes out of that pound of wood is 4,899 BTUs. Now, you might be asking what a BTU is. That actually stands for British Thermal Unit, and that is the way that we measure temperatures and energy in this industry. Now, if it is a 30% moisture content, your BTUs are going to go up to 6217 BTUs per pound. And if it's a 20% moisture content, it's going to come up to 6,734 BTUs. That's your actual BTU content of that wood. But see, if you're burning a wet wood, one of the things that happens is we're going to use a lot of the energy just to dry the wood. So what you're doing, if you're not seasoning your wood properly, you're going to be using a lot of your potential energy just to dry the wood out. And a lot of people think I need to mix some green wood in with my dried woods because that's going to give us a longer burn time. Now, it may make your appliance burn a little bit longer. It may make your stove go through the night, but is it actually producing the heat that you're looking for? So the best advice I can give you about your fuel is to make sure that it is properly seasoned. And that could take as long as 6 months. It also depends, where do you store your wood? Your fuel wood should be stored somewhere where it doesn't get rained on. It needs to be stored and stacked in such a way that air can circulate through the wood. And if you actually go to the internet, you'll find a lot of interesting ways to store the wood. So again, you want to season the wood, you want to store it in an area that is covered and it doesn't get rainfall in it. You want to make sure that it is an area that air can go through. Now, another thing about wood is wood does attract bugs and other things like that. So you got to be careful whenever you bring the wood in the house. In other words, the last thing you want to do is get an armload of wood and bring termites into your home, or roaches, or anything else. It could be something that could slither across your floor, because then, your spouse may not be real happy with you burning that wood stove whenever you make a mess. And see, that's the thing. Sometimes if we don't look after this, we're going to make a mess, and then we're going to upset the people that we live with. So wood heat is a great way to heat. It is a heat that is a naturally renewable resource. Also, burning the wood properly in an EPA listed unit that's made today, there's less pollutants created and go into the atmosphere than there does if that same wood just lays in the woods and rots. There's actually more damage to the environment from the rotting wood than there is from burning it in a properly designed unit that's available to you today, because today's wood stoves are very clean burning. Many of them produce hardly any smoke whatsoever, and it doesn't damage the environment. In other words, it's good for us. So think about that, because if you're burning wood, what you're doing is you're helping preserve the natural resources that we have, which is a big concern for a lot of people. Wood burning is not bad. Wood burning is not bad for the environment, as long as it is properly seasoned and used. And yes, Jay, you learned something, and I appreciate you saying that, because like I said, I've taught this for years, and we were always tied into that 8,600 BTUs. But if we actually research that, we're going to find more. Folks, that's my friend Jay Walker. He lives down in northern Florida, and even though he's in Florida, he's an area that stays kind of cool in the wintertime down there. So Jay, I appreciate you being with me tonight. Feel free to share this out on your own social pages and help educate the consumers in your marketplace. Now, here's the next question I was asked this week. Hey, Jerry, I've been burning wood and I'm getting kind of old, and that pulling that wood in just ain't my bag anymore. So I'm thinking about going to gas. Tell me what you think about using gas in my fireplace. And Jay just put in it's in the 20s down in northern Florida this weekend. That's right, Jay. There's a lot of people in Florida. In fact, I got 2 clients in Florida right now from the Northeast, and I got a feeling they're going to be pretty shocked this weekend with the weather of what I'm seeing coming down there. But again, appreciate you being here tonight. So going back to the subject matter of tonight, the next question dealt with a consumer that was at the point they wanted to quit burning wood because they just physically weren't able to. And folks, I can understand that. I'm in my late 60s. I have gas in all my fireplaces. Going out, hauling wood in, all that doesn't fit my program at this point in my life. In fact, I used to have a wood-fired boiler that set up on the hill behind my house, and that wood-fired boiler heated my house. It heated my domestic hot water. It heated my garages. It heated my pool. And a couple of weeks ago, my friend Tom Urban and I, we did a broadcast actually about outdoor water stoves, outdoor boilers, as a lot of people call them, because Tom heats his home and his shop out in Fairfield, Iowa, using an outdoor unit like that. We talked about a lot of those. So you can find our past episodes on our website, CVC Success Group. You can go and click on podcasts, and you can find all the past episodes that we've done there. And we've done them with a lot of guests on here and a lot of different things. So anyway, going back to the question, I want to use gas in my fireplace. Well, there's a lot of choices to do this, okay? And some are going to be better than others. So the first question I would ask someone, are you wanting to put gas in your fireplace and just enjoy your fireplace? Or are you looking to do this to give you a heat source and maybe even to heat your home? So this is where the choices come in. And one choice is what we call a vented gas product. And the most popular of these is probably for a fireplace is a vented gas log. Now, what a vented gas log does, a vented gas log is just like burning wood in your fireplace, except you're not bringing wood in. It's not a super efficient heating source. It uses a good bit of gas. And what we have on a vented gas log is we've got something that looks very, very real. Now, they will throw some radiant heat into the room, but we really don't buy vented gas logs and install them as a heat source or as supplemental heat to give us extra heat on these cold nights like we're going through right now. We buy it for the romance of the fire. We buy it for an easy way to use the fireplace. Now, another alternative, and this alternative is very popular in some areas. In some areas, it's not accepted. And this is called a vent-free or a ventless gas log. Now, when we have a vent-free, a ventless gas log, it doesn't utilize a chimney. And what this means is if you install it into a masonry fireplace, you can actually close the damper completely, and all the heat that's produced by that vent-free gas log comes right back into the house with us. Now, on the surface, this sounds really great, right? I'm going to get 100% of my heat back into my house. But here's your problem. A vent-free gas log does produce some pollutants, and a vent-free gas log shouldn't be used over 2 to 4 hours a day in the average home. You should also open a window somewhere near that unit to allow some fresh air in to ventilate your area while you're using it. Also, if you have respiratory issues, other things, a vent-free gas log is probably not a good choice for you for your own health. And this isn't to speak bad about vent-free gas products. What it's saying is you need to use them according to the manufacturer's installation and operating instructions. Vent-free products are not made to heat whole homes. Vent-free products are not made to use when you go to bed at night. Now, you can use a vent-free, and like I said, but remember, it has usage limits and it has criteria that you need to follow. Now, there's a third type of appliance, and this is what I have in my own house, and that is called a direct vent gas appliance. And when we talk about a fireplace, what is a direct vent gas appliance? It is a unit, it is an insert that inserts into the fireplace. And what we have with a direct vent gas appliance, we actually have an intake pipe that goes up to the top of the chimney. Now, what this intake pipe is doing is pulling fresh air for the combustion process down to the appliance. It goes through the combustion process and then it cycles up another pipe that's installed in that chimney. Now, this is also used on a lot of freestanding appliances. And when we're talking about a freestanding direct vent gas appliance, what we have is we have a double wall pipe. And the outer layer of this pipe allows fresh air to be pulled in, goes into the appliance, goes through the combustion process, and then cycles back out to the outdoors. And a real simple explanation for this, for the different types of gas technology, is as follows. A vent-free gas appliance, as a rule, will use interior room air for the combustion process, go through the combustion process, and then the pollutants are expelled back into the room. And that means we're going to take some of the bad stuff back into the room with us. Now, on a vent-free appliance, there is a maximum BTU rating of 40,000 BTUs. We also have a limit on the carbon that can be produced. It's less than 5 ppm per hour, and that stands for parts per million. Now, vent-free appliances do not have a carbon monoxide detector on them. What they have is they have what's called an oxygen depletion sensor. And in the industry, we call this an ODS. And what is the ODS doing? The ODS is monitoring the level of oxygen that's in the room. And through a mechanical action of the way the pilot burns, what this does is if the oxygen level in the room drops below 18%, what's going to happen is the vent-free product is going to shut down. That's correct. It's going to shut down. To give you a comparison of how high do you go above sea level to be at 18%, you're at 4,000 feet above sea level. So these appliances are very safe, but they do need to be serviced. That ODS valve I talked about a while ago, it's got to be cleaned out occasionally, because what's going to happen is you're going to have fibers in the air. It can be pet dander, it can be dust. It builds up in that ODS. So what you need to do with that vent-free appliance, it's going to need to be serviced probably at least once a year, possibly more often if you have dusty conditions, and that ODS is going to have to be cleaned out. Now, that's the vent-free, okay? So again, the vent-free takes room air for combustion, goes through the combustion process and expels it back into the room. So Edmund Popolowski, he asked a question, can you run vent-free appliances all the time, just like you can with a vented appliance? Well, Edmund, to be honest with you, your question is kind of misleading. Can you? Yes, you can. But should you? No, you shouldn't. See, that's the whole thing. As a consumer, yeah, you could run this thing 24 hours a day and think it's a heating system. But the problem is, you do that, what's going to happen? You're probably going to have a shorter lifespan. You're probably going to damage your health. You're probably going to develop respiratory issues. So is it a good idea? No. Is it something we recommend? No. But to answer you straightforward, Edmund, can you? Of course you can. You're an American citizen. And as a citizen of the United States, we have the right to damage our health, okay? That's our right that we have as Americans. And I know, Edmund, that you stand up for the Second Amendment rights, and people have a right to kill themselves if they want to. Would you agree? So anyway, that's my input there. So, but on the vented appliance, as I was saying, it takes the room air for combustion, goes through the combustion process, and then the combustion products go up the chimney, just like burning wood, because a vented gas log is going to create soot, it's going to create smoke, it's going to create carbon monoxide. So it's got to go up and be vented out of the house. Okay. So now we have the direct vent. And the direct vent, the key thing here is it uses outside air for our combustion air, pulls it into the appliance, goes through the combustion process, and then cycles back outside. Now, this is the best kind of gas appliance that you can have for efficiency. It's also the best kind you can have in today's modern construction with well insulated houses. Because, see, we got an additional problem. In America today, we have made our houses so airtight that many times there's simply not enough air for the fireplace to be supported with the combustion air that's required. To give you an idea of how much air I'm talking about, when you're using a fireplace, burning wood or gas logs, this is what's happening. You're exhausting all the air in that house 3 times in a 24-hour period. So this is called air exchanges. And many of today's homes simply do not have enough air. And also in today's homes, we have a mechanical exhaust systems. And what we're doing is we're pumping air out of the house. This is what we call the envelope. But often in today's construction, what you're going to find is you're going to find that many homes simply don't have enough air to support combustion, because that's a key component. If we don't have enough air, we're not going to have good performance. So in today's world, what we're seeing is in the fireplace industry, by far, gas has taken over in direct vent varieties. We're seeing this in many, many new homes today. And one of the reasons is there simply is not enough air for a conventional fireplace to operate in that home any longer. So we're seeing more and more builders going towards that. But here's the neat thing. A lot of these newer direct vent gas fireplaces and inserts give you a more realistic look than you do burning wood. Okay, so Jay, appreciate that. And what he said here, this is great. I explain to clients daily just what you're saying. I thank you for the videos I will also share. Please do, Jay, because that's why we do this, is to get the information out to people's customers across America. That's the entire purpose. Now, as we go through this, a lot of people, I get asked this one, Jerry, I got a metal fireplace. I got a fireplace that, it's kind of lightweight metal. And can I put a wood stove into it? Can I do this? How do I get more heat out of this? Well, that's what we call a factory built fireplace. And factory built fireplaces were introduced in America in the year 1952 by a gentleman by the name of Robert K. Thoma. He invented this after World War II and working with the US government. And so from that point, the factory built fireplace, burning wood and burning gas, has come into great popularity in the United States today. And if we go back into the 1950s, probably about 5%, 3% of the fireplaces in homes in America at that point that were built or installed were factory built units. You may have these called prefab or prefabricated fireplaces. So now that has increased up that probably today, I would say over 95% of the fireplaces that are installed in homes across America at this time are going to be factory built fireplaces. Well, see, here's the problem. A factory built fireplace has a lifespan, and it's going to depend on how durable that unit was built. It's also going to be dependent upon if the water can get to it, and the water can damage and deteriorate and rapidly take it down and make it a bad appliance. And to be honest with you, we're actually seeing this happening sometimes in as little as 5 years. This is why you need to make sure your chimney is watertight. And many of these are installed in chases, and water can get to the unit and it rots the units out prematurely. Well, what do? Are we stuck with this? No, you're not. See, that's the neat thing about this. Just like you can replace your kitchen range, your kitchen oven, anything in a home, In today's world, we have what we call the fireplace changeout. And the fireplace changeout is where a good installer, a reputable dealer of product that would be in your town, this is someone you need to go to. It could be a chimney sweep, it could be other people that do this type of work, can actually remove that old fireplace and put a brand new fireplace right in its place. In fact, many times this can be done without having to alter the structure. But what can also be done with this is we can change the look of the fireplace. You may have a dated look in your fireplace. So when you deal with a competent installer, you can also have a completely new look to that fireplace, completely change what it looks like. It can change your home. So the fireplace changeout is what I call it. The fireplace retrofit is another use, and one of the terms that I've heard being used in the industry right now is something. To be honest with you, I'm not crazy about this term because it sounds so destructive, which is rip and replace. Rip and replace. In fact, the guy called me up today and he wanted to know some information about a rip and replace. And I had to cancel that guy because I said, hey, man, whenever you say rip and replace to a consumer, that sounds pretty horrible. And changing a fireplace is not that big a deal. And the term I've always used was going to be a fireplace makeover, a fireplace upgrade, a fireplace retrofit. But you can change out your fireplace if it's got problems. Again, you want to go to a competent individual, and I'm going to talk about who do you look for to be a competent individual in your marketplace to do this kind of work for you. Now, another kind of fireplace that's out there, which is made out of steel, is what we call a heat form or a heatilator style fireplace. And these are units that are used in a masonry chimney, but instead of using fire brick, they actually use a steel firebox. And many of these have convective chambers in it. And what does the convective chamber do? The convective chamber heats up air and expels it into the room. These were very, very popular back in the 1960s, 1970s. To give you a little background into this, and this may be kind of funny to you, this steel fireplace actually was rolled out in the United States in the year 1926 by a company located in Syracuse, New York. And catch the name of this company. The company was the Chemical Toilet Company. So what they were looking for was new products to bring out because I guess chemical toilets were going out of fashion, out of style at that time. So what did they do? The Chemical Toilet Company of Syracuse, New York invented a new fireplace that you could replace this older fire that you could build in. Well, see, here's the problem with those. They had a lifespan too. And many of these are now at the point they are rotting out, and we have a lot of different types of systems that you can now install, and this old fireplace can be cut out. And again, it's not that painful to you as a consumer, but your fireplace with a competent individual can be replaced. How about that? It's called a fireplace makeover, fireplace upfit, fireplace retrofit, or maybe they call it that destructive term, the rip and replace. Okay. Now, rip and replace just ain't one of my favorite terms. And actually, I teach these methods. I've got a class coming up in a couple months up in Pennsylvania at a training center there because we've been doing the training for quite a few years on how to do this makeover, this fireplace change out product service that we're talking about here. So it can make a lot of changes in your life. So the whole thing is, our desire is for you to enjoy your fireplace, your wood stove, your gas logs safely. Now, you're probably going to need service. If you look at it, the National Fire Protection Association recommends that you have your chimney inspected on an annual basis, And what they say to have it done by is what's called a qualified agency. And this is a recommendation that we tell you and we advise you to obtain a qualified agency agency to do your service. We have in this industry what is called certified. And there's a couple different certifying agencies out there that you can go to. One of these is an installation certification by the National Fireplace Institute, National Fireplace Institute. And what do they certify? They certify people in installations for gas appliances, for wood burning appliances, and for pellet burning appliances. So to find out more information about NFI and to locate someone near you, you would simply go to NFIcertified.org and you can locate somebody locally in your market area. Now, for chimney sweeping certification and chimney inspection, I'm going to give you two groups to look at here. And so you'll know I have been proud to serve as president of both of these associations in my past. The first is the National Chimney Sweep Guild. That is located at ncsg.org. And the National Chimney Sweep Guild has a certification program called a Certified Chimney Professional, or short for CCP. So what you can do is go to ncsg.org and you can research where to find a certified technician in your area that carries the CCP certification. Another is the Chimney Safety Institute of America, and you're going to find their information at csia.org. And there you can have a locator to locate a qualified individual in your area. Okay. And you know, an amazing thing about this, you're going to find a lot of people in the United States that are not certified by just one of these organizations. You're going to find a lot of technicians that are certified by all of them. They have what we call master certifications out there. So find someone competent in your market area. Now, what you also want to do is check their reviews. These are testimonials to how well they reply, how well they take care of their customers. And let me caution you something. You may find someone that has a bad review sometime. Don't let that discourage you from contacting them. See if the company actually replies to that. You know, we all make mistakes. We all do. We're human beings. So what happens here is if someone's made a mistake, do they take care of the mistakes? Now, I want to issue you a warning. This is one of the problems we have in all of the things we're talking about. We have a lot of people that are marketing their services across the United States. They may not even be local to you. They could be some company from states away that's actually marketing into a market area, and they're putting their websites up on the internet, and they may be sending you unqualified people to service your home. So what you want to do is make sure that the technician, let me repeat this, the technician that comes to your home should be certified. Certification is not for a company. Certification is for the individual. And like my friend Jay says there, amen. Because like I said, what we want to do is give you as a consumer the guidance that you need in order to make the best choice for your home to get a qualified technician. Many years ago, at the National Chimney Sweep Guild, we had a saying, a quote that we put out, which was, "Don't make an ass of yourself." And that's the problem here. If you don't do the maintenance, the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, they do recommend that you have your chimney, your fireplace inspected on an annual basis. There are all kinds of issues with improper venting across the country. We have many installations that don't have proper clearance to combustible materials. And this puts us into a bad situation because what's going to happen here is if we have improper clearances to materials and they're combustible, each and every time those materials are heated, the ignition temperature drops a little bit and a little bit lower and a little bit lower. And what can happen is 20, 25 years later, all of a sudden somebody's got a real problem. So you want to believe this because this is the number one thing that so many technicians hear from their customers. They'll go and they'll find a problem. The problem is truly legitimate. It is a problem. And this is a common answer that many consumers will say, well, I've never had a problem till now. And you're exactly right. You haven't had a problem, but the problem is lurking and it can harm you and it can harm your family. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this has been some helpful information for you to use. Again, if you're watching this, hey, share this out on your own social media. Let's get the word out. That's our whole purpose in doing this and why we produce the Fireplace Show. So I want to thank you for joining me. It's been an honor. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure to speak to the American consumers in this manner. Once again, my name is Jerry Eisenhower. You see my email address on the screen right now. I do not sell anything to consumers across America. You're not going to be hiring me. You're not going to be having anyone else, bothering you to try to sell you something whenever you email me. The reason I put my name up in, it is my mission to help consumers across America and help guide you into what you're doing. And Jay just said the key thing. It's spontaneous combustion. So be aware. The chimney and venting and hearth industry, the fireplace industry, we want you to enjoy your fireplaces. We want you to enjoy your chimney. We want you to enjoy your home. The last thing we want to see is something tragic happen to any American consumer. So join us next time on the next episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. I appreciate, and Jay, thank you, brother. I appreciate your support. I appreciate people listening to us. And hopefully by listening to us, maybe we've helped someone tonight. So see you next time on the next episode of our Fireplace Show. Thanks a lot. And you have the great weekend and enjoy your fireplace on this super cold evenings we're having right now, even deep down in Florida.